This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Hey,
Hi.
Richard.
Hi, Richard. This is Desiree. I'm an architect down in Houston. And I was wondering, looking at your YouTube video about this Haggard 1303 double acting spring hinge. And I just had a couple of questions as to what kind of installation we can get out of this. Currently, we're looking for double acting door hardware that can be locked, allow the door to be locked. And we're thinking that, or at least our door hardware guy told us that we could use this. However, because of our storefront design, it was kind of dainty. I'm wondering if we were to bulk it up, the mullion depth, if we could mount this double arcing hardware on it and it would be fine. I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
Yeah, it's all good. I speak hinge.
Sure.
So what hinge are you looking at?
The Haggard 1303.
Oof. What size?
Well, our storefront right now is like 2 inches, but we're honestly thinking that might bulk up. So I'm wondering if we had a 4-inch mullion size, we would have a 4-inch hinge that could fit the door fine.
You know, when you have a Caesar salad and they put anchovy on there, and you're like, oof. That's my reaction to Hager 1303s. So how thick is the door?
Good question. Let me see if I have that here.
That's going to be a make or break. That question is make or break.
I see. Okay, let me get to the door spec. Door thickness is 3/4 of an inch.
Oh, tiny. Okay. So a 1303 and a 3-inch. How wide and how tall and how heavy?
The heavy. Let me see if it gives me that. It's. Let's see if this thing actually tells me anything about the door itself. I don't imagine it to be too heavy, but let me see if I have better information for you. 1 second. It's probably gonna be your standard 3 by 6.5, 6/8. I don't know the weight though, but it's a standard door. It's a small door. It's just for a high traffic situation. Yeah.
Okay, but it's probably going to be particle board, so it will definitely have some weight to it. So we're not going to want. How many of these openings do you have?
We have 4 that are in storefronts right now.
How many hinges are you thinking per door?
2, ideally. If you need 3, then okay.
I would plan on 3.
Okay.
So, and you have 5 of these.
We have 5 of these.
Okay.
4 of them are in, or 3 of them are in storefronts, and 2 of them are just mounted on the wall. The 2 on the wall, I don't think is going to be a big deal with, well, at least a Hager or something. But if there's something better, then let me know. But then, other than that, it's like, okay, for the storefronts, what are we going to do about that? The properties we needed are to be double acting and lockable, and it doesn't seem like that is. We're finding a lot of double acting high traffic doors that are lockable these days.
Sure. Yeah. So what does the impact of it being storefront have any significance? I mean, are you just going to provide cased opening jambs out of aluminum storefront type material?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, awesome. So we don't care what the you got a wall. We're going to assume that everything's properly reinforced, or you're going to handle the mechanical fastening, the secure fastening of the hardware to whatever you're mounting it to. Okay, having said that, let's move over to the lockable. The trouble with the lockable is the door thickness is really going to make it hard to get something petite mounted into the gizmo.
I see.
Now, Adams Wright has really petite mortised lock bodies that have a hook that come up, and you see these in sliding residential doors. The issue is going to be getting some sort of a way to activate that because of how thin your door is. And bear with me.
You're looking at the MS 1950 mortise deadlock?
No, those are far too large. Those are that concept, but yeah, that one's far too large. Bear with me. I don't remember the part number of the lock body I want. It would be like, well, let me just search it before I say it. Send you on a wild goose chase. Actually, any chance of making those doors 1 inch thick?
Probably it's fine. Yeah.
Well, because you know what happens at that point? They then become lockable. Do you need it lockable from both sides or just one side?
Both, because then I can always go back down to one. I mean, it's something that they can lock it from the outside and it's fine. No one's worried about the inside getting out or anything like that. We're just worried about people getting in after hours. So
you know what? It's funny because my reference to sliding and residential, this hardware would actually work on that application. So what is that? Bear with me. So what could be really good, here's a part number. Hang on. Okay. Here's a part number, 4431. If you just search, it's just search 4431. Let's see what comes up. Okay, when that loads, you're going to want to scroll, Adam's right. You're going to want to scroll down to something that is, what comes up first is not going to be what you're looking for. That's 41 dash something probably. Scroll down a little bit and find 4431-00. Something 4431-00.
Now that's the catalog page. 4430, 4431 catalog is what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, you want 4431 because that'll have a cylinder on one side. And
let me do this again.
What you want,
Adams, right?
What you want to do is in my search box, top center at absupply.net.
Okay, let me go there.
Yep.
Supply.net. Okay, all right.
Type in 4431-00, then hit enter.
Okay. All right. I see.
And so that's used in sliding applications. There's no reason why you couldn't use it in a double acting application. What would be goofy about it is you would have to, when you throw the hook, the door is going to have to be centered. So you might want a couple of petite handles like sash lifts, something on there to really position it nice as you're throwing the bolt. So that concept is something that you might consider. It's possible that we could cannibalize a kit like that, use the lock body, and then come up with surface-mounted cylinders, but what's elegant about the 4431 is it does give you an ability to lock it, to bolt it, and unbolt it from the inside, and same with a vertical slide knob, and obviously that same operation via a key on the secured side. The only funny thing, of course, is going to be that, getting it to center, because as soon as you stick the key in, the door is going to move. It goes, So the other thing you could consider would be and this would be exceptionally expensive, would be a overhead shear magnetic lock, or you could put it in the jamb as well. But your door is so thin that I can't think of a lot of options to do this, not elegant options. So, you know what, though? I think, So what you could do is you could dive into the Adams Wright catalog for that lock body that you can see there. And when you click on the item, you scroll down, and you look at parts diagram and template and blah, 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 you'll find a reference to what the lock body kind of looks like. And Adams Wright does have thumb turns and surface-mounted type. They have cylinders that have an exterior escutcheon. The problem would be there'd have to be some savvy to force those to mate together. I'd have to take a look at the catalog to see how dreadful that would be. Probably wouldn't be.
Do you think this could be installed on any door frame or door style as long as it's 1 inch thick, or is this something that, because to me, does it look surface mounted? I guess it doesn't really look surface mounted.
That's what I like about it. It's petite.
It is small, but it seems like, is this surface mounted? Am I missing something?
No, the lock body is mortise to the edge of the door. You then mortise function holes in the face of your door, and those zinc plates, those escutcheons, they'll project off the face of the door, but only the thickness of the
But not by much.
Yeah, 30 seconds, a tiny amount.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that would fit fine in the frame. I guess it's just I'm wondering if the door style that we're selecting has mortise capabilities to it, or if it's because they don't typically lock them. They're just, drilled enough for the hinges to install.
Well, with that in mind, if the construction of the door is such that you can attach a hinge to, logic would be that the other side of the door would have actually something there like wood rather than particle board. That's where you send your cut sheets and your templates to the door manufacturer. Say, this is what I'm putting on. This is what you're prepping for.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Okay.
Now back to the Hager question. I would prefer that you use, if they're available, the Bomber Original, which was their 3029-3. That is the original that Hager is making their Chinese manufactured copy off of. I know that we still have inventory, but I know because the Bomber, you will measure its lifespan in decades. The Hager is a piece of junk. It's anchovy on my Caesar, and I don't eat fish.
Okay. Hager Bomber, you said 30.
The part number from Bomber, in my website, if you type in 3029-3, you want to scroll down alphabetically to the manufacturer name Bommer, B-O-M-M-E-R, because Airlouver will certainly come up first, and then you're looking for a 3029-3. That's the industry standard. Bomber discontinued the manufacturing of builder's hardware a couple of years ago, but there's still inventory, and this is the stuff that it won't fail on you.
So you rather this one for a double acting?
Guaranteed.
Guaranteed. Okay.
The problem is, I know
if you can find them.
Well, I know that I have adequate inventory as long as polished brass would be agreeable. That -632, it says that I've got 16 of them. I've got 16 of those.
32, yeah.
They're
The
shiny
polished
brass.
brass.
Welcome to the 80s. But
Yeah.
if you can somehow contend with the finish,
It's a
it
little
would be
bright for.
Yeah, no doubt. But back to the
I
Hager though,
mean, I do want to do something that makes more sense. And so you're saying, so there's no, what is this, a brushed aluminum? What is this kind of color?
the problem is I don't have what is the desired finish on the project?
It's a metal. It's a powder coated metal, but I think the color itself is pretty dark. So I don't want anything to high contrast against it. Or if I could do something that we could powder coat and paint ourselves or something, would be great.
Well, you wouldn't be able to powder coat any of these because of the process of powder coating, as I understand it.
They're not raw.
Well, there's lubricant inside the hinge. There's nothing that's going to melt when it goes into an oven that I'm aware of, but you definitely don't want to ignite anything on the inside of there. And I don't know the flash point of white lithium or whatever lubricant they use on the springs inside of there.
Okay.
Now, having said that, if you were agreeable to having a painter involved, you might say to him, hey, this thing is plated polished brass over steel. Can you deal with that? Or you go back to the Hager 1303-3. The -3 is not there by coincidence. They offer it in a prime coat, so you could paint that, even though it's an inferior build quality. But at the end of the day, your client could also put 4 of them into shelf stock. If you have a problem, you've got one there to swap out immediately. And I would for sure put 3, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom, for sure.
Okay. But you're saying this thing fails all the time. I see the prime coat, double acting finish one. Yeah. So
I couldn't fathom using these on doors with volume. They just don't have the build quality.
Okay. So the bomber you think is far superior. If we can find a finish that works for us, this is a better hardware. And this is also keeping in mind, I guess, the door width style. I see it says for 7/8 to 1 1/4. The door, thickness. The door thickness, yeah.
And the reason I said, can you go to 1 inch, because that's the minimum the Adams Wright hardware requires. Not without getting, it would have to be a 1 inch minimum thickness. And it just turns out that the hinge will handle up to 1 inch.
Okay.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
That's the Adam Wright, the lockable.
Yes. Yeah, the 44, 30, whatever it was, 31.
Yeah. Okay, so you're thinking this is a potential option that they could use as a lockable solution, but trying to get it mortised inside of that thin door is to find a door that can handle that.
You just need to have a construction of a door with some wood around the perimeter. Is it going to be like Formica, some sort of P-lam?
So let me get back to the door itself. I had it pulled up here. It's an Eliason door.
Eliason. Yeah.
Eliason.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with them as a company. We don't distribute for them because they sell direct.
It's an Eliason high-pressure laminate traffic door.
Yeah. If Eliason will do 1 inch, the problem with that stuff is and again, because they sell direct to market, I don't get involved with trying to understand their product line. I have no reason to. I have no monetary reason to.
Sure. It is constructed of a wood core. That's what it says.
True, but wood is kind of like saying locksmith. What does that mean? What does that mean? There's a lot of definitions of wood. So I would get a cut sheet, or I would tell them tech support, dial 2 for tech support. Okay, I'm actually mortising to the edge of these things. You're going to be very clear with me about what the edge is made of. Having said that, and it's Eliason. So it is P-lam. So also, if they can't do it, I know that my wood door, my division my wood door manufacturers, they'll make 1 inch, and they'll put P-lam on it, and they'll do it double hardwood stiles and rails, that kind of stuff. You know, and then you would just do, you wouldn't need any jambs, you just need doors. So it's not impossible, and really all it is, it's pieces of wood, someone with a planer and a table saw. You take some 3/4 particle board, you band it with solid wood on all 4 sides. You glue it, you clamp it. Then you get your standard grade P-lam, which is pushing 100 thousandths or whatever. Or you put a piece of MDF on both sides, and you P-lam over it. And then you know, and then it's a laminate trimmer, a handheld laminate trimmer. I mean, that's in the shop. That's how we would make those.
That's the construction of a door.
Yeah, and plus Eliason is really expensive. Not that what you want isn't expensive, but it's like, whoa, those things are really expensive. You might get a wood shop, a door shop to make them.
Okay. To make that customish door, I guess it would be fully custom. Okay.
Yep. Now another thing I just thought of. Imagine if you took your Eliason, and when you're, and I see them in the mall all the time. There's a bottom rail deadbolt. You know, go walk into a retail space, clothing store, whatever it is. There's a bottom rail deadbolt down there. If you got a couple of blocks of whatever, aluminum, wood, and you got a deadbolt meant for a typical 1 3/4, well, they'll go down to 1 3/8. You used a couple of spacers, and then you just bolt it into the floor. That might be a little easier. You know, get that deadbolt down, shooting into the floor, or up into the header. I would prefer that because then you don't have the issue with needing a dust-proof shrike down on the floor. You know, so there's you know,
other options.
Yeah,
other options there.
It's just, you know, our mutual ability to come up with ideas is only limited by the quantity of hours of sleep I got last night. So, you know, I'm sure there's lots of ways to skin this cat.
Sure. No, but those are good ideas. Get the brain flowing. Yeah, I guess we could try to think about something that could be like you're saying, a deadbolt that can bolt to the floor or bolt to the head jam that might work, opposed to making it, you know, all this mortising of a door. They seem pretty set on the Eliason just because it's a standard. They know it, and I guess they're fine with the cost. But in terms of the lockability, it just makes more sense for us to find something that can lock. And if we can just modify that door, that would be the best thing. And I think maybe because the double acting hinge that it sits on, it's a fine hinge. It just there is no there's no lock feature. But it seems like if we just keep the same hinge that they recommend, which is pretty thin, aesthetically pleasing, that's fine. We just need to be able to mortise one side to lock into the frame. If I'm thinking through this clearly, there's no problem with the hinge itself. It's just the lock ability.
I don't agree with that. Only in the sense that Eliason has to know that you're going to pierce screws into the edge of that for your 1303. So they've got to have something there for you to screw to. Particle board ain't going to fly because generally that's going to be their HPDL or whatever it is over particle board or MDF. Neither of those are going to work for attaching hinges to because typical Eliason, as you may know, those are pivots top and bottom. They're not, and they're not double acting spring hinges.
Do hinge and teach me clearly? You're teaching me a lot this morning, but so the pivoting hinge is that not a double acting type of scenario?
Oh, definitely.
The one,
but when Eliason makes those, it seems to be like a clamp situation over the top corner and bottom corner of the door for their pivots. So they're not reliant on screw withdrawal strength of attaching hardware to the door. The way they attach their pivots is such that they probably don't have to think too much about there being solid wood to actually attach wood screws to.
To screw it into the actual door frame or the door itself?
The door itself.
Okay.
So that the the hardware doesn't rip off the door.
Right. Well, I wonder how they're doing their typical installations then. If I don't know, maybe I just don't know enough about this topic clearly. Okay.
Based on my limited knowledge, I always see there's always pivots on Eliason because it's I've been in a restaurant as much as anybody else has. That's where you see those. They're pivots and they're not screwed to the edge of those very lightweight doors. There is a clamp system that they're probably through bolting through the door.
Right. It kind of acts it swings against a solid or a stationary pivot. I suppose that's what that is. Okay.
You could. I mean, why aren't you just not letting Eliason provide their standard double-acting, self-centering hardware with these doors?
Like I said, I know nothing about this topic. So, it's a good question. I guess we can ask that and let just change the hardware from this normal pivot to a double-acting one if they have that.
But their normal stuff is double-acting.
Well, I guess I'm saying that you want it to be different than a pivot hinge, right? Is that what you're saying, or no? Am I completely confusing myself?
What I'm saying is when you order an Eliason, that thing is going to be double acting, meaning it'll do like the 1303, but they won't use those. They'll use their own hardware, which are double acting, self-centering pivots. Yeah,
I don't think we have a problem with that hardware or the hinge itself. It's just the fact that in our storefront there is no lock capability, and that's the thing we're trying to solve. The hinge itself is not really an issue, I don't think.
Well, it may be an issue if there's if there's not proper blocking in the edge of the door to screw to.
Right, and then at that point, it's like, okay, well, can you make this door with a, decent piece of wood so I can mortise it and have a mortise lock? Is that the solution, just to tell them how to make the door?
Well, in terms of the hanging device, it would either be, can you make it with the proper reinforcement for the hardware I want to use, or option B is you just use their standard hanging device. Don't use the 1303s. Use whatever Eliason provides.
Yes, I think that's typically what they've normally done.
Okay.
Which isn't a problem.
But they're not using 1303s.
No, they're not.
Okay.
It was suggested by another manufacturer of like, you could use this, because I think they were thinking more so about can this thing be lockable? Can we just install a lock on the Eliason and it'd be fine? And I think that they were maybe thinking that it'd be too much, so they suggested a different type of hinge, is what I think is happening here. So I just decided to deep dive into all this to see what is it that I don't know and how can I, help provide solutions.
You want to dive deeper?
Sure.
So I had an old customer of mine. They were guys did in Boston a lot of couture, Chanel, those types of stores, and whatever Boston's Fifth Avenue kind of neighborhood is. And the same situation. The guy's like, I can't lock my Eliason doors. I'm like, sure you can, because he was using the aluminum stuff, which is super thin. So I came up with a deadbolt that is mounted inside the frame, the jamb itself, and then through the think of a typical hollow metal cased opening frame. You got a 2-inch face. Let's say it's 5 3/4 deep. You mount the deadbolt, the vertical deadbolt, in the jamb itself, and then through the face on both sides. On one side, you've got a really long mortise cylinder, and then on the other side, a really long thumb turn, because there are cylinder-operated electric deadbolts. And what I liked about it was it kept all the hardware in the jamb, and because they were also doing access control. But it had a manual override, and that was neat. Everything I just said is probably $1,000. Well, forgive me, it would be more than that because of the custom length of the cylinders. But it's extremely elegant. No one knows it's there, but you still have that same problem of needing to center the door. So when you're trying to throw the deadbolt, it goes in the hole.
So it just had a nice little cylinder at the top that it slid into, the deadbolt would slide into at the end
Yeah.
of the day or whatever.
Nobody knew what was going on. And the best hardware is the hardware you never see.
Yeah, of course, right? Yeah, and that's a situation where I think we don't want anything ugly. Like we do all this work, and then all of a sudden we just have like this ugly door or something. It's just not that fun at the end of the day. So an elegant design would be nice, but
yeah, Division
maybe
8
it needs to also work with ease.
It needs to be functional, but I get deflated when it's like you're first and goal. Don't give up now. Don't just take what's in stock. Get the right thing, and the right thing is function, and its appearance, its aesthetics, its budget, of course, as well. But at the end of the day, they got to live with it forever. I don't. I'm being paid. I will never, percentage-wise, I'll never hear from that client again.
Right. Yeah, but providing a good solution, you remember the people who provided really good solutions. Okay, so that might be a solution, and it was an Eliason door they used as well.
It was absolutely. Eliason does there. If you looked up the dictionary definition of Eliason, that's going to be an exceptionally lightweight, very thin aluminum door with a triangular shaped edge all around. The aluminum might be whatever, 90 thousandths thick, very thin. The generic, the regular Eliason, because back in the day, decades ago, Eliason didn't have all these funny options, these cool, P-lam, and it was just, that's what they made.
Yeah. It's like you pick it or you do not, and now they have a bunch of different finishes.
Yeah, so, like Henry Ford, any color you want, except, as long as it's black.
Okay, so we could do that, I guess, but that seems like it's such a custom product. It doesn't seem like there's anything on their products list that is like that. Maybe searching something differently. Instead of a restaurant door, we look at like a retail type of door. I don't know if that's what they do. Because I would imagine that couture designer had the same idea as like make it elegant, make it clean. But I still need it to lock my purses at night.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy, don't get me started on that. I collect, I have my collection, and my wife has hers. So, and peace and love. Whatever you collect is what you collect. It was just a matter of that client needing a solution, and that was the solution that we came up with because there was going to be access control, and it had to be low voltage hardware. It just happened to also be a very elegant concealed look.
So what was the process with Eliason to Eliason? Eliason.
Yeah.
What was the process with them to do that type of installation? Or
we didn't need their participation at all because there was nothing for them to do because the hollow metal cased opening frames that we provided, we prepped them for the electric deadbolts so that the client could get the low voltage wires at the rough opening, the rectangle, the 9-inch tall, 1.25 wide, had the mounting tabs. The wires get pulled out, terminations are done. The whole thing gets stuck back in and tightened down, just like you would attach a hinge to a steel frame. And then it was just a matter of attaching the strike for this electric deadbolt to the edge of the Eliason door. So there's this tiny little piece of metal that was sticking there that no one would ever really notice. That when the deadbolt was thrown, when it projected, it found its mark, it found its hole, and went right in.
So you just mounted a little piece of steel that had the cylinder or the size of the hole on the face of the Eliason door, and then on the edge of it, right? That was enough to catch the deadbolt when you striked it. Exactly. And then in terms of it lining up, and that would work pretty well because you just undo it and it's a double acting door again, no problem. It's flush with the frame, so that little piece of metal doesn't disrupt any type of function.
Not at all.
It's just at the end of the day, you just lock it from the top, or if it being on, it's a manual thing. It can have a manual override, but it is a low voltage bolt that you're talking about. What kind of hardware was that?
So the one that I like is made by a company called SDC. It's Security Door Controls. And in this instance, it's best to go to their website directly. And their website is SDC, then the word security.com.
I have them here.
And when you pull that up, literally on their homepage on the left, there's a thing that looks like a deadbolt with a ball above it. That's what the hardware is. And you're looking for electric bolt locks. Is there, when you go to products, you click on that, you're looking for a category called electric bolt locks.
Electric bolt locks, I see them. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that you just fixed to the door frame. What do you think about this being installed in a storefront? It shouldn't be anything different, right?
Well, it wouldn't work on your applications where you're attaching everything to walls, because how are you going to attach this hardware to a wall? But in storefront, yes. I mean, storefronts, I don't know what the face dimension on storefront is, but it's 1.5 inches. You just have to make sure on a job that you had enough room to fit the hardware into. 2-inch hollow metal is no problem.
Yeah,
but we are not a.
Mm-hmm.
We're not aluminum door distributors, so I don't have a lot of those. You know, I know it's not 2-inch on aluminum storefront, so you'd have to make sure of what that is.
Okay, this is an interesting solution too. And this is, to me, I think, keeps the standard for the customer happy. Nothing changes there. It's a small little face-mounted piece of metal that this lock goes into, and then we can try to figure out how to affix a lock to the frame. But after that, then it's done.
Well,
the same hinges that come with the Eliason. And
yeah, getting the lock attached to the frame is just your someone cutting a rectangle into the jamb, adding mounting tabs. It's like a locksmith goes out to a job, and because his customer says, "Hey, I want to add an electric strike to my existing aluminum frame." Okay, no problem. Cut it, a couple of mounting tabs, $300
screws.
Yeah, screws.
Yeah. Screws and you're fine. Okay, well, this might be the solution then. This is a much better solution than I could come up with. I surely didn't know what I was talking about. Okay, so any of these probably I can look into and figure out which one may work best, but this is something that we could do, I think. And this is simple. It doesn't seem too complicated by any means, and we could probably potentially keep our same design. The thinness of our storefront is something else, but we could figure that out probably.
Yeah, it's again, it's just, you know, the more you ruminate on it, the like, oh, I could probably do that too.
Okay. Well, wow, I'm glad I searched this, found your YouTube, and was able to call you. I was like, this seems like a pretty nice shop. Like I could reach the guy, and I did. So. Thank you.
Well, your ilk, you know, you guys are dealing with everything in the spec book, and it's nice to be able to call someone that only deals with one.
100%.
Yeah. So that's
100%. And then until you do things 15 different times, and that's when you start having your Rolodex in your own head about different solutions. Yeah. But as an architect, you're like, need to know everything. So there's a limited brain space for stuff that just you won't see all the time.
Yeah, you don't have the luxury of just being able to focus on one thing only. You're
not at all.
You guys. Yeah.
No, you got it. But it's like, okay, let's get back to work doing 15 different other things.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. Well, thank you, sir. Have a great day and a great weekend, and happy belated July 4th and all the good stuff. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for calling. My name is Richard.
Thank you, Richard. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.